Okay, just making sure. Jenny, can you see my slide? Wonderful, thank you so much. Welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for all Indiana students, sponsored by the Indiana Association for College Admission Counseling and from StriveScan. Thank you for joining us. We want to do a few housekeeping things before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenter at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening, so make sure you check out the full schedule at InACAC.org. This presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at the same website, InACAC.org. I'd like to now turn it over to our presenter, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let her start presenting. Thank you, Jenny, for joining us.
All right, thank you so much. So greetings, everyone. My name is Jenny Hunkin. I'm an Assistant Director of Admissions at Johns Hopkins University. And for students in Indiana, I am your Regional Admissions Officer. So if you have questions as you're moving through your college admissions process and about Johns Hopkins, I'll be the person that you want to reach out to. So thank you again for coming. And so we'll spend the next 30 or so minutes going through a little bit about Johns Hopkins, our academics, student experience, as well as the admissions and financial aid process. So starting with some basics about Johns Hopkins, we are located in Baltimore, Maryland. So right where that star is located on the map, we are very much in the city of Baltimore. So our students are deeply connected to the city, very much taking advantage of all the opportunities for research, internships, community service, but also enjoying all that Baltimore has to offer. We do have different parts of the Hopkins network that span across the Baltimore area as well as into Washington, D.C. So this ranges to include our medical campus, inclusive of the Bloomberg School of Public Health, the School of Medicine and Hopkins Hospital, our School of Nursing, but also our larger network incorporates the Applied Physics Lab, our School of Advanced International Studies, et cetera, et cetera. So all these different pieces of the Hopkins network that you can see on the bottom of the slide are a part of the university, but our undergraduate students are spending most of their time on the Homewood campus that has our Krieger School of Arts and Sciences and the Whiting School of Engineering. So here you can see our Homewood campus. So like I said, we are in the city of Baltimore, but we do have that very classic college campus feel. There's lots of green space, beautiful brick buildings. There's no cars running through campus. So you really have that campus feel, really the best of both worlds, having Baltimore as your college town, but having that true campus environment. On our campus, like I said, we have the two schools, the Krieger School of Arts and Sciences and the Whiting School of Engineering. But students who are majoring in those different schools, majoring across those different schools, are going to be spending their time on the Homewood campus and have very cohesive experience on campus. So when you're applying to Johns Hopkins, you do not need to know which major or what school you want to be in. Students are not applying to a specific school or to a specific major, with one exception of our biomedical engineering major. That is the only major that students need to apply directly into. And to do so is very simple. Students just list as their first choice major on their application. And then students will receive two admissions decisions, one for the biomedical engineering program and one for the university as a whole. If you are interested in our over 50 other majors though, you'll declare those once you arrive on campus. You have until the end of your first year to declare any engineering-based majors. You have until the end of your second year to declare any majors related to the arts and sciences. So we have a lot of academic diversity on campus. Popular majors include economics, public health studies, neuroscience, our writing seminars program, which are creative writing, biomedical engineering, chemical biomolecular engineering, all different areas that students will find those homes. But even some of our smaller programs and size of majors like film and media studies has really fantastic opportunities and programs. So our film and media studies program has our film center. That's a collaboration with MICA, the Maryland Institute College of Art, so the local art school in Baltimore, and that has absolutely fantastic film resources. And students in this major every year go to the Cannes Film Festival with the department. So don't let size of the major sort of define what that experience is going to be like for you at Hopkins. But before you figure out what you're going to major in at Hopkins, we do want our students really explore and see what's going to be right for you, because many of the programs we offer at Johns Hopkins are not things that we expect most high school students to have a deep background in. So how are you going to know if archaeology is the right program for you, or civil engineering, until you take those courses and see what that actually looks like? So how students can explore is through our open and flexible distribution credit system. So we very much value the liberal arts at Johns Hopkins, wanting our students to have a very well-rounded and dynamic education, where students will, at some point in their 4 years, take classes across the humanities, social sciences, natural sciences, and engineering fields. We really believe that our students are able to become better problem solvers, innovators, and have that true impact on the world around them by thinking about issues that are important to them and the most pressing issues of the day from a very interdisciplinary perspective. So thinking about a problem from a community perspective, a historical perspective, a scientific perspective, to find that best solution. And so our open and flexible curriculum with that distribution credit system provides those opportunities, but also allows you as a student to be designing what makes the most sense for you. Over 60% of our students will have a double major or a major and a minor. So due to the flexibility of our programs, it's very easy to sort of mix and match, but you get to make those important decisions of where are your interests falling. So these can be things that maybe don't necessarily sound like they go together, like archaeology and chemistry, or computer science and international studies. Whatever makes sense for you and your interests, you're very much able to pursue those. So in addition to the liberal arts our students are getting through that very well-rounded open curriculum, our students are also spending a lot of time sort of having these hands-on learning experiences, really living out what they're learning inside the classroom. So part of this research and hands-on learning mentality comes back to our founding. Johns Hopkins was founded as the US's first research university. We also lead the US in research spending. This past year, we spent about $2.6 billion on research as an institution. So again, the most of any college or university in the US, but also that means for our undergraduate students, it's incredibly easy to get involved with these different research opportunities. So 80% of our undergrads will do research at some point across their 4 years. Students don't need any special background or experiences to get involved with this. Many students will get involved during their first year. There's multiple levels that students can get involved with research on. So the individual level, where they are the person deciding what the questions is, what the project will look like, and how they want to go about this research. And our Hopkins Office of Undergraduate Research will help students to define those questions, but also host a variety of grant funding opportunities that students can apply for and get our Dean's Undergraduate Research Award and get $4,000 over their summer months to support them in this research. Students will also, though, work with our professors on their ongoing projects. So every single major and department has ongoing research that our undergraduate students are getting involved with and working on. So if you have a department that you're already thinking about, I definitely encourage you to go to that departmental website and see how can you see what is going on currently. So those are the types of projects you can get involved with right away as a student. Internships, though, are also incredibly popular for our students to see what they're learning from the classroom into the real world and also explore future career options. So over 85% of our students will have internships during their time at Hopkins. Being in a city like Baltimore means it's incredibly easy for our students to access these internship opportunities during the school year, as well as over the summer months, of course. So students will have a wide variety of internship opportunities that range from art curatorial internships at the Baltimore Museum of Art, to storytelling internships at our local NPR station, to material science engineering internships through Under Armour, one of our hometown companies in Baltimore. So students are doing all different types of things to explore their interests and to have that impact, taking that knowledge not just in the classroom and in the theoretical realm, but really making that impact. And students have these really high-level opportunities because of that larger commitment and support structure in place across the university. So I spoke to our research funding, but students are also able to take advantage of our larger Hopkins network that I was speaking of in the beginning. So for example, one student I know is a physics and computer science double major with a minor in space sciences. So he's doing his research at the Hopkins Hospital, working on a project looking at the long-term health impacts of astronauts who have spent significant periods of time in space. So for students, this is a really great opportunity to bring their knowledge to action, but be in a project that really isn't happening anywhere else. And being at a place like Hopkins, we're able to bring together world-class physicists and physicians and astronauts to this project to be looking at these important questions. That high level of collaboration at the institutional level definitely speaks to the really unique and interesting opportunities you can have at Johns Hopkins. But students are also getting a lot of support in finding those right opportunities for you. There are so many different research and internship, study abroad, entrepreneurship opportunities. It's not really a question of can you find an opportunity, but really finding that right opportunity for you. So that's where our strong emphasis on advising and community support comes to fruition. So at Hopkins, we are a mid-sized institution of about 5,300 undergraduate students. Your average class size at Hopkins is about 24 students. The student to faculty ratio is 7:1. So you really get to know your professors through the classes, but also all of our professors host weekly office hours that our students take advantage of to talk with their professors about things they're not understanding, but also just to talk about life and to learn about sort of different opportunities and ask questions outside of class. So lots of great opportunities to connect with professors. Many students will also really get to know professors well through research opportunities, but all of our students will also have academic advisors that they'll start working with before they even step foot on campus. We also have departmental advisors. So once students declare a major or majors, you'll have an advisor specific to that department who can help guide you through those different opportunities. So if you're a chemical biomolecular engineering and Spanish double major, you are going to have an advisor in each of those departments who's going to help guide you through the different opportunities related to Spanish, but then also to chemical biomolecular engineering, helping to really parse out what those different opportunities are. But we also have a lot of different offices. So our Life Design Lab is our version of the Career Center that is helping our students to find these different opportunities for internships, but also after they graduate. Our Office of Study Abroad is working with students to find those individualized opportunities for study abroad. So we have a variety of Hopkins programs, but students are definitely not limited to just our Hopkins programs. And students can utilize that advisor to help find that right program. If it's for a specific country or they want to have an internship while they're abroad, those advisors will be able to guide students through that process, as well as making sure all those credits transfer back. So our students have a lot of different support networks on campus, looking out for them and helping them find these different opportunities. But students will also find a lot of support and collaboration from their peers at Hopkins. So we have a very supportive community. Our students are regularly forming study groups and getting together to work together on academic projects, but our students are also providing that mentorship and community support through a lot of our different student organizations and just sort of that general campus community. Our students are required to live on campus for those first 2 years. That really jumpstarts that community connection and experience. Our students are very invested in the campus community. They are the ones who are driving forward our student culture, really deciding what campus looks like. They do a lot of this through our over 400 different student organizations that are completely student run. These really run the full gamut. We have 12 different a cappella music groups. We have an investment team that manages a $250,000 budget to make real world investments in the stock market. We also have a breakfast cereal club that gets together and eats breakfast cereal. So wide variety of things that Johns Hopkins students are doing. You'll definitely be able to find your community within these over 400 different student organizations and really find the groups that speak to you. In addition to all that's happening on campus though, Baltimore is a really big part of our identity at Hopkins and how you'll experience all the different parts of your time at Hopkins. So academically, our classes are very much connecting with Baltimore. Students are utilizing Baltimore as a case study, having really community-based learning integrated into their classes. Students are also really finding their interests represented in Baltimore as well. I know a student who was dancing ballet on campus, but also part of the Baltimore City Ballet Company. Students who are involved with student government are getting involved with local elections and activism in the community. Students who are involved with our business societies on campus are getting involved with local startups and the entrepreneurship scene in Baltimore. So our students are really becoming full citizens of the city of Baltimore and finding that home not just on campus, but in Baltimore across many different sectors. So Baltimore, if you haven't been before, is a mid-sized city. It's really easy to navigate and get around the city, but we are a city of neighborhoods. There's over 200 distinct neighborhoods in Baltimore. So although we are mid-sized, there is so much to do across the city of Baltimore. Even for those of us who have lived here for many years, there's always new things to learn and see and do across Baltimore. So these photos definitely highlight some of our different neighborhoods. The top left one are Station North neighborhoods. That's Penn Station, the train station that we have our Johns Hopkins shuttle that connects our campus. It's just about a perhaps 7-minute bus ride from our campus, depending on traffic a little bit. But this is definitely our arts neighborhood. There's lots of fun sort of comedy scenes there, art galleries, but Penn Station's also a great way to connect with the rest of the East Coast. So if you have family or friends in Washington, D.C., it's just a 45-minute train ride from Baltimore. So students will also utilize Washington, D.C. for internship opportunities, to take advantage of courses through our School of Advanced International Studies in Washington, D.C. Philadelphia is also very close, about an hour train ride. And students will also regularly go to New York, which is just about a 3-hour train ride. Our other pictures are definitely showcasing the beauty of our harbor and the waterfront in Baltimore. So you can see we have lots of beautiful parks, and it's really beautiful to walk along the harbor at sunset to enjoy those views. But definitely lots of beauty in the city, but lots to do across all different areas of interest. My favorite thing about Baltimore is definitely our food. So finding the best crab cake in the city of Baltimore is an important journey. I did not like crab before I moved to Baltimore, but I certainly changed my mind once I had Baltimore crab. It is delicious. If food is not your all-time favorite thing though, there are plenty of other things to do across the city of Baltimore. I also love our art museums. The Baltimore Museum of Art is essentially on our campus and completely free. But we also have other great art museums like the Walters Art Museum and the American Visionary Art Museum that I frequent regularly. There are lots of great concerts happening across the city, lots of great neighborhood festivals. So we definitely have a wide variety of campus traditions that happen each year, but Baltimore also has its own slew of traditions that our students will get to participate in as well across different neighborhoods. There's lots of different neighborhood festivals and events that students will enjoy. So one of our nearby neighboring neighborhoods to our Homewood campus is Hamden. Hamden is sort of a quirky neighborhood. If you are familiar with the movie or musical Hairspray, then you might be familiar with Hamden, as that is the neighborhood that movie is based off of. They have a neighborhood festival each fall called Hamden Fest, where there's lots of food and vendors and great things going on, but sort of the hallmark event of Hamden Fest is toilet bowl racing. So very unusual, where people are racing toilet bowls on wheels down the street. The winner gets to sit on a throne of plungers, a la Game of Thrones. So very unusual, very fun, a Hamden tradition that many of our students will get to enjoy their falls on campus. So lots to explore and learn about Baltimore, but definitely a great place to call home for those 4 years. And many of our students are also staying in Baltimore after they graduate. So it does bring us to, where does this great Hopkins experience take you? So definitely all over the world, and many of our students, like I said, do stay in Baltimore, but more career-wise, where does this take you? Our students are utilizing that office I mentioned before, our life design lab, to find those next steps, but also while they're on campus to very much be taking advantage of our alumni network, of recruitment opportunities, internships, networking opportunities. So students are really across their 4 years reflecting and finding different experiences to help them take those next steps. Our career services is intentionally called our Life Design Lab because we're not just thinking about that first career when you graduate, but really thinking about that long-term impact with your life and how you want that impact to look. So helping our students design sort of that full future, not just thinking about one career. So the Life Design Lab helps you identify mentors, those moments of inspiration and finding that pathway, even as it's developing and changing as you move through life. So like I said, that alumni network at Hopkins is certainly an important part of that, with on-campus recruiting, our alums coming back to campus to help you find internships or jobs at their companies, but also just through mentorship. We have a mentor program that our alum opt into, and our students can find them based on where they live, what they majored in, what their career is, all these different factors. So you can find alums who can really speak to your experiences. But also we have lots of great opportunities like our career academies. So these are based on sort of specific career areas that are very popular for our students, and they range, as you can see on the screen. These are not tied to specific majors. We really believe that what you major in at Hopkins is obviously important because it's what you're spending your time on, what you care about, but it's not going to define what you do when you graduate. Our students from all different majors will take on different steps. I know students who've been writing seminars majors or creative writing majors who are in medical school, but also students who are writing seminars who work for political candidates doing speech writing. There's all different pathways our students will take with a single major. And so students don't need to feel defined by what that major is, because all of our students will have access to these resources like the Life Design Lab that can help take you in so many different directions. These career academies do different trips to cities to do networking in different parts of the US. They have career fairs specific to these job areas, resume workshops specific to these job areas, so really helping our students to explore. Students can also be a part of more than one career academy if they're thinking about careers in many different areas. So concretely, where do students end up upon graduation? So the first thing across this data that I'll point out is that 35% of our students are going directly to graduate school after graduating. So this is a little sort of maybe higher than you might see at other schools. And I think that sort of speaks to the type of student that's really attracted to Johns Hopkins, students who very much love learning. Many students will start research during their undergrad years that they want to continue at that master's or PhD level. We also see many of our students who are going to medical school, students who are going to law school, but also students who are taking advantage of some unique Hopkins programs. So we do have accelerated bachelor master's programs across 20 different programs at the Whiting School of Engineering and the Krieger School of Arts and Sciences. This includes all of our engineering master's programs, but also a wide variety of programs like political science and neuroscience. So these accelerated bachelor master's programs, students can apply for these during their senior year at Hopkins, and they'll do one additional year for their master's program also on the Homewood campus, but they'll get half off of that 5th year of tuition through our graduate fellowship program. So that's a really great opportunity for students to take that next step to graduate school. But the majority of our students are going directly into the workforce. Like I said, this is not tied to specific areas of majors. Research is definitely an area many of our students go into based on that emphasis and lots of opportunities that exist for undergraduate students during their 4 years at Hopkins. But you'll also see the largest category, 39% other. So students are very much not limited to these categories. our students are doing so many interesting and amazing things when they graduate. I'm really thinking about that larger impact like we were talking about with life design overall. So now that you know a little bit about Hopkins, I want to think about what are these different pieces of Hopkins and how does that relate to what are we looking for in applicants and when you're applying to Johns Hopkins. Starting off with some logistical pieces. At Hopkins, we accept both the common and the coalition application. Students who are looking for a first-year admissions plan can apply through 3 different application rounds: early decision 1, early decision 2, and regular decision. Early decision 1 and 2 are binding agreements. So students who apply through these can only apply to one school through a single early decision plan. And if admitted, students are bound to go to that school that next year. So designed for students who know where their top choice school is. If that's you, I definitely encourage you to think about applying through early decision. The difference between early decision 1 and 2 is simply when are you ready to apply and make that commitment by. So early decision 1 has a November 2nd deadline, and students will find out in mid-December if they've been admitted. Early decision 2 has a January 4th deadline, and students will find out in mid-February if they've been admitted. For regular decision, that is a non-binding decision round. So if you're not quite sure where your top choice school is or want to compare offers across different schools, you'll want to apply through regular decision. That also has a January 4th deadline, but students will find out in mid to late March if they've been admitted, and then they'll have until May 1st to let us know if they'll be attending. We do also have a transfer admissions process. So for students who have started, have graduated high school and then started at a community college or another 4-year college or university, but then realized perhaps that they would want to be at Hopkins, you can apply for a transfer admissions process as well. I definitely encourage you to go to our transfers website through our admissions office, as you can see those exact admissions requirements. So for our first year, now financial aid before we get into the application. So at Johns Hopkins, we are very much committed to making sure Hopkins is affordable for all of our students, regardless of the financial background that you are coming from. So we want to make sure that Hopkins is affordable. So we're meeting 100% of demonstrated financial need for our students. What this means is that as an applicant, we'll ask you to submit the FAFSA, the CSS profile, as well as some tax return information. Then our financial aid office will see what can your family reasonably contribute to your college education. Whatever that is, we will meet the rest of the cost of attendance. So thinking about tuition, room and board, fees, travel to campus, all of that is encompassed in the cost of attendance. So we want to make sure that we're really meeting students where they are to make Hopkins affordable, that 100% of demonstrated financial need for financial aid packages includes no loans. So we want to make sure, again, that this is not causing students to go into debt to be at Hopkins. You can see what this might look like for you and your family by using tools like our My Intuition Quick College Cost Estimator, as well as our net price calculator. So you do want to fill these out specifically for the different schools you're looking at. You can find both of these resources on the Johns Hopkins Financial Aid website. Our financial aid office definitely wants to be a resource for you as you're moving through your application process. You don't need to wait until you've applied or been admitted to reach out with a question. Our financial aid officers are happy to help and answer those questions as you're moving through your application process. So what are we looking for in our application review? We are doing a holistic admissions review, which means we're looking at all the different parts of your application together to get this full sense of who you are as a person. We are thinking about your academic character, how you're engaging academically in the classroom, how you approach that academic piece. But we're also thinking about your impact and initiative. How are you positively impacting people around you? How are you taking initiative to better the communities that you're a part of? But we're also across these different areas thinking about your overall match with the university. So we get a lot of students who are interested in Hopkins and really qualified in their application. So we're thinking not just who is going to be able to do the work at Hopkins, but who is really that best match for our full community, thinking about who's going to be contributing to that community and really thriving in our particular environment. Because of this, there's no formula in our admissions process. There's no minimums or cutoffs. We need to look at your full application to see, are you going to be that strong match for our community? A holistic admissions review also means, though, that we are taking your individual context into account. So we are looking at your school context, your community context, your family context, your individual context. This means we're going to think about not just have you taken X course, but what courses are available to you at your high school and how are you taking advantage of the different class opportunities you have at high school. We're also going to look at context like your personal context, like did you get a concussion your sophomore year and that impacted what you could do outside the classroom? How has the pandemic impacted your life and your family? All those pieces that are specific to you and your experiences, we want to understand those while we're reading your application. So each application has that own individual context that it's read within. So starting off though with some of those academic pieces, to speak more concretely of what are we looking for when we're talking about this term of academic character. So we're definitely doing a deep dive on your transcript. So we're not just looking at your GPA and moving on. We want to understand across 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, what classes you've taken. How are you challenging yourself with rigorous courses? Again, rigorous courses can look different in every school, but we'll also want to see how are you doing in those different courses, looking at sort of trends. As the courses gotten harder, how have you done with that challenging rigor? So we'll want to really understand your high school academic experiences. And then standardized testing. So for this upcoming year, we are test optional for this we have a 1-year test optional policy due to the pandemic and the closure of test centers or limitations that there is on testing right now. So what this means is that we are truly test optional. You are not advantaged nor disadvantaged based on the decision you're making for if you want to submit a test score. So if you haven't been able to test, do not worry, your application will not be at a disadvantage. If you have been able to test, but you don't feel great about your score, in an ideal circumstance, maybe you wanted to retest, but now you're not able to. That is completely fine. You do not need to send us that score. We know this isn't an ideal circumstance right now. And then if you do have a score, but you feel really great about it, then of course you can submit that and have that considered with the rest of your application components. For other types of standardized testing, like AP test scores or IB test scores or SAT subject tests, these are all completely optional in our process for all different years that you'd be applying for. So you can self-report those on the Common or Coalition application, but they are completely optional. We do want to know more qualitatively as well, who are you as a student? So we're going to look at letters of recommendation to understand who are you in the classroom. So we ask for 2 letters of, from teachers. They help us understand what type of questions you're asking. How are you collaborating with your peers? What are you really excited to learn about? We also ask for 1 letter of recommendation from a school counselor that provides that broader 4-year context, helping us understand who are you within your school community? How have you taken advantage of opportunities at school? So those letters definitely help us understand you as a student, as an academic, but also as a community member. So those letters can help us see how you work with others, how you approach community. But we do want to very much hear about you and your community engagement through the other parts of your application that you'll be writing and sharing. So that extracurricular involvement through your activities list that you'll share. We want to understand all the different ways that you're spending time and building community. So think through the different clubs and activities and athletics you either do through school or outside of school. Different community service initiatives or after school jobs, family responsibilities, cultural or religious responsibilities, hobbies you've taken on, all these different things that you're spending your time on. Please let us know. I often hear from students that are sort of confused. Why do you care that I help take care of my younger brother. Why is that important for an admissions officer? And we understand you're not going to be taking care of your brother if you're moving across the country to go to college. That's not going to be a college activity for you. But as an admissions officer, we get to learn about the responsibility you're taking on, your approach, how you were helping out your family to be a good community member of your family. So those are things that we can still learn about your overall approach to community, even if they're things that you're not going to continue on in college with. We also, though, want to understand more of not just what you're doing, but this how and how you're approaching things across your activities list, but also in your essays. So that personal statement is the general essay that you're sending to every college and university you're applying to. For this essay, we're really trying to understand who you are, what you care about, how you move through the world, your perspective. So it is very much about you and your reflections. We know this can be fairly open-ended and sometimes feel a little vague of what do admissions officers want. At Johns Hopkins, we do offer our Essays That Worked webpage that provides full-length college admissions essays of students who applied, were admitted, and came to Johns Hopkins. So students who are very successful in our process. So you can read through what did they write about, but maybe more importantly, you can read the comments that we as admissions officers wrote about why was this such a great essay? How did this help us learn about the student? These students weren't admitted just because they had a really well-written essay, but because they were able to communicate about themselves very effectively. And with the other parts of their application, we were able to then really imagine them as that strong community member participating across all these different parts of the Hopkins community. So that brings us to this idea of match. Every part of the application, we are thinking about who are you as an individual at Hopkins, really trying to imagine you and understand you within our community. One of the most explicit ways that we will be thinking about this is through our supplemental essay, which is the essay just for Johns Hopkins. So for this application cycle, our supplemental essay is asking you to tell us about an identity, interest, background, or community, and how that shapes what you want to get out of your Hopkins experience. My advice for this essay is think about why are you interested in applying to Johns Hopkins? Think about whatever it is that makes you interested in applying, and then think about why. Why are you interested in that? Why is that appealing to you? Is there an identity, interest, background, or community that sort of speaks to that interest and really shapes how you want to get, what you want to get out of your Hopkins experience, and really try to communicate that to us in your essay. So those are the different pieces that we look for and ask for in your college application. We do have a lot of resources that can help guide you through the application process, understanding the different application components, the financial aid and financial planning process, some FAQs about COVID-19. So I definitely encourage you to check out this college planning toolkit as well if you're looking for further guidance. Provides a lot of great short videos and different events as well. If you are watching a recording of this and thinking, wow, I would love to know about these events or things that could be helpful to me, I definitely encourage you to sign up for our mailing list. If you pause this and scan the QR code, that'll take you to our mailing sign up, and you can get future communications from us about things that are going on at Hopkins that you can engage with. Additionally, here are some other ways to connect with us. I would point out some great ways to hear about the student experience, as I know that can be some of the harder pieces to sort of suss out in your college application process of who are my future community members? How will I be engaging as a community member? Who will my future friends be? So some great resources to know a little bit more about the Hopkins community. I would actually recommend first our Instagram. So that's a great way to get to know a bit about the Hopkins community. We have student takeovers that are in those highlights, and usually every Tuesday. So you can ask questions and get to know a wide variety of students. But we also have our Hopkins Insider, that second link on the screen. That's our student-run blog where students share all about different parts of their Hopkins experience, their favorite places in Baltimore, cool internships they've done. So a great way to get to know more of that student voice. But also if you have a specific question for a Hopkins student, definitely reach out to our askastudent@jhu.edu email address. That email is run by current students who work in our office who are happy and eager to answer your questions. I am also happy and eager to answer your questions, so you can always feel free to reach out to myself as well. As I mentioned, I am your regional admissions officer, so really your point of contact in the Hopkins admissions office. So you can find my email on the Johns Hopkins Meet the Staff website by typing in your school zip code, and then my information will pop up. If you have any trouble finding that, you can always just email this go-to-jhu@jhu.edu email address that's in the bottom left-hand corner. So I'll pause now and see if there are any questions that you all want to ask in the Q&A. I haven't seen any come in yet, but I will pause for a moment in case anyone is typing now. All right, it doesn't look like there are any questions coming in, so I'm glad the presentation covered all the pieces that the students who are here in attendance were curious about. But again, please don't hesitate to reach out to these different resources if you do have questions in the future. We're always happy to help answer those.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. Let me share my screen here. And I want to just say thank you for joining us for this presentation. When you close out of this screen, you will see a very quick 4-question survey, and make sure that you answer that for us. That'll really give us some really good information about the session. Also, don't forget you can sign up for more sessions, and in order to do that, you can check out the schedule, and there's the website there, the inacac.org/virtual-college-exploration. Also, if you would like to see a recording of this after it closes and it's something you want to refer back to, the recording will be available. They're all recorded, and they're going to be available also at the same website as what you would also sign up for more sessions as well. So I just want to say thank you again to our presenter, and also thank you for taking the evening for joining us. Have a good night.